I just saw a report that Tren de Aragua is moving into North Carolina. They are moving into North Carolina because there's a lack of official response. There's no real authority. Now, the only thing that the people of North Carolina have going for them is a little bit of their own ability to defend themselves. Remember, they are in the South, but that didn't matter when the gang took over hotels in Texas. It didn't matter when they started moving into Tennessee. So their jump over to North Carolina is really something that should have been expected. But we are going into a very much a time of turmoil inside the USA. There's lots of concerns from the people behind the strings. They are saying that we are going to experience unrest in the country, you're going to experience violence in the country, and you're going to begin to experience a time of chaos. Now, they kind of want this, and I don't really know why, but they do want it.
Hey there, freedom fighters. Coming back at you with another one from the road here with a special edition of Truck Talk. Well, I'm going to try to start pumping out, a lot more videos for, at least the next month coming up to the election here. And I'm sure after the election, we'll have a whole bunch more stuff to talk about. But, I usually do, Friday weekly wrap-up videos and, do some kind of special topic or something on Monday. But, I'm going to start putting them out, pretty much whenever, random times during the week. Just try to get some, content out. And I have some ideas definitely for some, premium content coming up. So, definitely, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And stay tuned. But anyway, this video is just going to be a response to a video I saw from Full Spectrum Survival over the weekend. And I'll try to link to the video that is in, that I'm talking about. But I'll also try to get a clip of it, at least the part that I'm responding to. But, he was talking about the whole boondoggle that was going on with these hurricanes and the chaos that it brung and, all this stuff. And he talks about that he's hearing reports. I mean, we've all heard the reports of, the looting and the, organized gangs running around and criminal behavior in these areas that were devastated by these floods. But he said, specifically the gang Tren de Aragua that we hear about taking over, the Colorado apartment complex and, going to war with the black gangs in Chicago and taking over New York hotels and all this stuff are now moving into these devastated communities in the hurricane zone or the flood zone. And he mentioned this one part where he was like, well, at least you're in the South and, these people have the ability to protect themselves, which I'll get to on that. Well, he even got to it himself. He said, well, that didn't really help them much in Texas, did it? And no, it didn't. Because it's a point that I've been making on this channel for a while that, self-defense and the whole, I guess American Western style or whatever you want to call it is gone. That no longer exists. And you look at all these countless examples of people fending off, robbers, or the guy in Arizona who shot an illegal at his ranch, and, these countless defense cases, Kyle Rittenhouse, etc., getting charged. And they've pretty much set the precedent for them to move in, and there's tons of videos on TikTok or, whatnot of, squatters just, coming in your home, taking over, and you can't do anything about it. If you ever get physical and harm a single hair on their precious heads, you'll be the one going to prison, not them. And it really doesn't matter what state you're in. And he mentions that, like, oh, they're in the South. you could do whatever you want. And it's like, man, that attitude is long gone. Let me tell you, it no longer exists. Maybe in some very blood red, rural, towns, local jurisdictions, will it be like that. But for the large part, again, if you're in Texas and you're like on a ranch and you're on, like West Texas or something like that, I think is, the more rural country zone. But if you're in Austin, you're in Dallas, Houston, any of these areas or the surrounding counties, there's no defense there. You see the guy, I've talked about him before. I always mess it up because it's either, I think it's Perry, and Penny was the guy in New York, but Perry shot a veteran, by the way, who shot a Antifa rioter or a BLM rioter during those riots while he was working his job as a taxi cab or an Uber driver, and they charged him. So just imagine what happens if you ever do anything against their precious illegal invaders. And I guess the point I wanted to get to here is, then he ends that segment with, I'm not really sure why. I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but again, I'll try to link the video or post a video clip of it. But he's like, yeah, I'm not really sure, all this stuff that's going on, it almost seems orchestrated, but I'm not sure why. Well, I'll tell you why. And, we covered it before. My recent video, it was probably like a month back, but it was called They Want Chaos. I think it was called like the Pure Chaos stream. And that's exactly what they want, because it's order out of chaos. You've heard that term before. They want people, they want a whole population of their invaders to take place, take over your homes, take over your communities, loot the stores, take over jobs. That brings in competition. You lose your job because someone's going to do it cheaper for, a lesser wage. You get poorer. Your communities get devastated. Then you get drugs pouring in and everything, attributed to that kind of lifestyle. You get crime. It's a time-honored tradition with these people, and it never fails. And this is how they run their programs, or their what's the word I'm looking for? Their like agenda, what they're trying to get done. What they did to the black community, like in the 80s with the crack epidemic and stuff like that. They're now putting this forward in Appalachia. They're putting this forward in the South and in, country rural communities. And it's done on purpose. And it's done to split the family, because you got, dad doing in time, in prison because he lost his job and now he needs to make money. So he's slinging a little something on the side. You got, hostile new neighbors who you don't know where they came from and what language they're speaking, and they're giving you the side eye and all this stuff. And I've done many videos about, immigration and how, immigration to a point is fine, but at some point, at this point, it's weaponized. This is weaponized migration. This isn't your standard, I guess as Trump would call it, merit-based. These aren't your doctors and your lawyers. We've talked about this, over and over. But, you're going to bring in all these warring factions of people who hate each other, and what I recently said in the nationalism video, and give them all the rights entitled, which I believe they are entitled to, because maybe I have to clarify on this topic before. I know I've heard people, when the Supreme Court ruled that illegals can own firearms, there was a lot of our, channels in our community that were, in an uproar. Like, oh man, how dare they, all the laws they impose on us, and then they're giving illegals firearms. And I was actually arguing, yeah, because, I don't believe this is just an American thing. I know there's a lot of people who are like, no, it's an American right. It's, the American Constitution. But I believe the Constitution as, it is God-given rights. And, if you believe that we're all equal and it's a human rights thing, just like civil rights, then it belongs to everyone. So I don't believe in like, oh no, these people can own and these people can't own. If you're in America, there should be no laws pertaining to this. So again, I'm in favor of that. But, and I don't know where I was really going here, but yeah, I mean, so they all own firearms. I guess the communities are all hostile. Everything's going to shit, and they want that chaos. That's kind of what I was getting to, because of the order out of chaos, and that's what you're gonna see, man. Especially after this election, it's gonna be riots. It's gonna be food shortages. It's gonna be, who knows, man. I mean, look what we've already seen: political assassination attempts. If one of these certain, politicians goes down and takes a dirt nap, you better believe, I mean, it's gonna be hell in this country. And I'm talking about either one of them. I'm not talking about, a specific one, or not even the two candidates. It could be senators, governors, mayors. People just start disappearing, or, I recently saw a photo from Mexico where one of their governors or mayors was only in for 6 days. And he was found headless in his car with his head on top of the vehicle. Wait until this kind of stuff starts coming to America. And the chaos that unfolds around that. And again, but why, you ask, why would they want that? Because then they can crack down. That that was the point I was trying to get to about the order out of chaos. Because everyone's going to be like, oh man, once it gets so bad, we always talk about it's going to get worse before it gets worse. And then it's going to get worse, and just keep getting worse. Eventually, it's going to get so bad where the people are going to cry and beg on their knees for daddy government for a solution. And they're going to say, you know what, go ahead, lock us down, declare martial law, have the police state, put a camera on every corner, and police these people, and police our communities with an iron fist, with a steel-toed boot, and, make sure that everything's okay. Because, again, nobody cares until it affects them, but, when, someone they know, when a neighbor dies to one of these illegals, when one of, God forbid, one of their loved ones, gets attacked or something. I don't want to say certain words, but you know what I mean. Certain things happen, and then it's over. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna get to that point where it just all unfolds, and again, the people's reaction is gonna be begging for government to, have a solution, man. But yeah, I'm just coming at you with a quick one here. Again, a little bonus video. But yeah, man, until the next one, you know what it is. We are on our own. No one's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom Fighters out.